morning, Lingkang. It is 6 a.m. here, and it's 9 p.m. at your place. So thanks for taking the time. We had a call about
Morning.
a
Thanks
year.
for having me.
Thanks. We had a call about a year ago, but I thought it was time to dive into your current work because, yeah, you showed a little bit on Twitter, and as you know, and I'm a huge fan of the things that you're doing. So maybe you can give us a little introduction to you and your work.
Yeah, my name is Lingkang, and I was in two robotics companies before. The first one I founded called Red Rabbit Robotics. We did computer vision for drones. Second startup I was in, we were making self-driving vehicles for the airport. And recently, I started a new company. Its name is Red Rabbit Robotics. It's called Red Rabbit because red is my favorite color, and I love rabbits. There's actually no good reason. It's just it's about making humanoid. We just get started. I still try to figure things out. Our first product, I would rather say project rather than product, because not really a product. It's a project. It's an open source humanoid robot. It's got two arms. It's got a full size of a real human. It doesn't have legs, so I try to focus on the upper body of the human. And one of the interesting things I want to do is to keep the budget down within $1,000 and make it open source so everyone can make it at home. So that's my first project. I don't know how to make money out of it. I don't know how to make profit of it, but that's the first project. I'm halfway through how to finalize that. Folks who is following me on Twitter, they can soon see me start posting open source CAD file they can print at home, and open source code they can just load on the robot to do interesting stuff. So yeah, that's the gist of it.
So I mean, the thing is that humanoids are very complicated to do because there's so many things involved, right? We just talked about this earlier, and humanoid hype is very big. You see a lot of people working on similar projects, and with Trent Shumei and with Rob Knight, who are the creator of the deck stand. We had to talk about this already. It was episode 13 or something, I think, regarding is another humanoid company really necessary, or shouldn't all these people that are working on open source humanoid projects working together, right? And what is your take on that?
I'm not sure about other people, but for myself, I've always been interested in humanoid. I thought my first company was doing software for drones, but that's actually the second project of that company. Our first project in my first company is making humanoid. And even before I started that company, I'm so passionate about it, but no one's buying it. No one's like, oh, this is humanoid toy. No one's going to do anything about it. What do you want to do with it? And now it seems to be finally the time. I still don't know how the business is going to go with this. Seems to be quite a bit hype out there, to be honest. But as I said, for myself, I'm just simply passionate in it, and I want to do it. And in terms of why yet another humanoid robot, I think from a technical perspective, what I can see is that a lot of products out on the market, that some of the early stage, some of the later stage, some of them great, but a lot of them are, to me, is quite complicated, almost over complicated in a way that it's hard to see how it actually getting work done in a real life. By that I mean, how do you actually use it in the real world to maintain it, to operate this kind of machine, how to ensure safety and all that. Because I myself, as I said, I come from a background of deploying robots in the airports. That's like huge deal. A lot of people, very high stakes, and a lot of time, what we found is that, at least based on my personal experience, what we found is that instead of trying to make a system extremely complicated, the opposite is usually better. For example, you build a robot, you can put lots of infinite number of sensors on it, make it better and better over time. But every time you add a new component, you're basically adding a new failure point, depending on how your system is designed. Say you have a mobile robot, if it doesn't move, then you just wouldn't do anything. Instead, if you keep it simple in a way that is really maintainable, then everything works better. Because if let's say one of your hardware piece fail in your motor, then no matter how good your AI software is, it's just not going to do anything. Because to be able to move around, that's like the basic. I think same goes to pretty much any other kind of robots, include humanoids. The way we see it right now is that a lot of them, maybe they're still in early stage, or I would say prototyping kind of stage, super overly complicated, which means that it's extremely hard to build in the first place, and very expensive to build, and also adds up complexity in the end when you deploy in the field. What if something breaks? How do you fix that? I think that's the situation right now. What I personally usually interested in, besides making humanoid itself, is that I try to really boil things down and keep things simple. Like what's that absolutely needed, like the minimum thing we needed to get a thing to work. And turns out that you don't really need that much to get an arm to, let's say, grasp a thing. Maybe if it's industrial grade, you need a more reliable motor, and that's the cost is going to be more expensive. But really, for the whole system itself, there's really a lot of ways to keep it simple. I think that's part of the reason I was able to keep the cost so low in terms of building a $1,000 full human scale dual arm humanoid robot to be able to do stuff easily. Yeah, that's my take on it. That's what I see what's out there right now, and what I think I personally can make a difference in terms of this first project. And going forward, I think there are different ways that in terms of the business model. One way I see it is that for let's say educational or hobbyist market, they don't really want to spend too much money, and they don't need anything that's super reliable. They just need some basic hardware that is good enough to run their software. They want to play so that they can play with it. And that's one side of the market. The other side is that we have let's say enterprise or B2B business kind of a humanoid robot companies. When it comes to that, I think at some point all the hardware companies started to build same kind of stuff. And what really makes the difference is the software. Say you have a piece of hardware that is, let's say, 10x or 100x lower cost and easier to maintain, which means that it's way easier for you to mass produce, to get the data to power the AI system that eventually that is part of the software that you want to build that actually has the intelligence in it. Yeah, that's how I see it from a business perspective.
I am about to talk to Matt and Benjamin from K-Stay Labs because they are working on an open source humanoid robot as well. And as far as he shared, one of the main focuses will, as you said, software, right? So giving the hardware model open source and then see how you can monetize software. And the question I have is, hardware is hard. And just a few days ago, Brad Addock again said how hard it is to come up with a supply chain for humanoid robot, where you need to build basically everything on your own. You can buy some motors. There's a few things that you can buy. I mean, apparently they have the ambition to build everything in-house. So you need to have machines to be able to build the hardware. So even to scale that is very, very hard. But the thing is that, let's say, because you're using 3D printers, as far as I know, the thing is that even if you come up with the hardware, to control a humanoid robot is very, very hard. I was seeing a few videos of you where you was tele-operating the arms, and you said at the moment you're not focusing on legs, so there might be a possibility that this humanoid robot will, as Eve, will stand on wheels, right? Maybe you can go back a little bit regarding the academical path of you to be able to how you are even able to build these kind of things, because it's hardware and software that you're building, right? And having both things in one person. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, I think right now the status is that although I'm trying to build everything myself, obviously not everything is originally coming from me. For example, I'm using ROS, which means that I'm already standing on the shoulder a lot of giants that write all the good software that I can just grab and use. Same goes to all the hardware. I got all the motors from China off the shelf. Yeah. So yeah. So that's why I think even for a one-man team in these days, it's relatively, it's actually not hard to put a fairly complicated system together if you try to do that. In terms of my personal background, I did my bachelor's in actually in electrical engineering, back when I was in China, and when we were in electrical engineering school, we actually did a lot of actually not a lot of, we had a little bit software programming course in it as well, because you need to program the microcontroller unit and do basic stuff and all that. Obviously, you also need to learn how to do circuit, draw PCB and stuff like that. As soon as I found myself, oh, this programming is way more interesting than electrical itself. So I pretty much spent 90% of my university time just doing software instead of doing electrical. Although I ended up kind of doing both, because I was in all these competitions that making robots. Obviously, you need to put the electrical together. Then you need to put software on it so it can run. So that's a bit of my background when I was in my undergrads. After that, I got my master's degree in computer science. Also studying mostly focusing on robotics. By the time I got into my master's degree, I think by then the most trendy, or what I call popular thing, was computer vision. A lot of deep learning stuff, machine learning stuff coming up, and which means that now that we have all these computer vision stuff, there's a lot of stuff. Soon we have a lot of stuff that we can do with the robot that was not easily or possible to do before that. For example, we got all these Roombas in the lab. We have a group of multi-robot collaboration that recognize each other, they interact with human. We got drones that fly in, they recognize the human's face, recognize gestures, do stuff like that. So that's what I did when I was in my master's degree. And after I graduated, I just started a company and started building robots. That's how I got here in terms of my personal background.
Where are you situated? Why do we have a call that I'm in the very early morning and you're in the very late evening?
So can you say that again?
Where are you situated?
Right now, or when I was in school?
No, right now.
Right now I'm based in Vancouver, Canada.
It seems to be that Vancouver is a real hub when it comes to robotics, right? We do have Sanctuary AI. I know that Trent lives there, and I do know that there's a few other people living in that area as well,
Yeah.
that working on these kind of things. Very interesting.
Yeah, it was not like this back in the days. I don't know why all of a sudden it seems like people are all doing robotics here. There are a lot of universities here, I guess, that people are already doing research in the labs for actually decades, but it's just not popular, not trendy in the news.
Yesterday or the day before yesterday, I shared a project from someone who is working on how you can simulate robots in an environment, and using a Meta VR device.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because you see that out of sudden, as robotic has such high momentum at the moment, you see the different people using different kinds of things that had been there already now in other circumstances and in other use cases. So this is something I think is very interesting. And but the same question is always there if you're building a company. And we had so me and this guy, we had the topic about how to monetize these things. And when it comes to open source, it's even more interesting how to monetize that. Mm-hmm. Something that the DexHand, their main target at the moment is, as you said, R&D, research, universities, people that are interested in this kind of stuff. But as I'm working for a robotic company myself, I do know that there's hardware involved. So that means, or you said it as well, there's maintenance, there's service, there's support. These kind of things needed to be taken care of. There's documentation for all the things that you have done. And especially when you're starting these kind of projects, let it be a spin-off from a university, or let it be just smart people coming together and working on things. I do see that the the commercial part of it is not being taken care of enough and early enough, because people are so interested, as yourself, you're so interested in the topics itself, that you're neglecting all the parts that are necessary, and you don't have so much experience in these kind of things that are necessary to not only found a company, but really bring the company to the market, bring the product to the market. And maybe you can, maybe do you have an idea already, or do you say, okay, I would like to bring this product to a certain stage, and then I will take care of this? Because I can tell you the question, is it really necessary bringing this to a certain stage, only then to find out that it's almost impossible to do these kind of things, versus I try to find people that are investing or buying things from me, or even a wait list for people who are interested in my projects. Is that something that you are considering, or you said, okay, no, at the moment I don't have time for that?
Yeah, that's a very, very valid question. I like this question. In terms of the current, I think I can talk a little bit about what I think right now, and also a little bit about my past experience in terms of really pushing the things to the market, because engineers like tinkering things around that, like myself, but in terms of actually getting value out of it and to the customers, sometimes it's a different story. You need to you don't want to start with a hammer and try to find a nail. Sometimes you need to think backwards and see what people actually want, and then you build the product. That's usually the way to go. In terms of right now, in terms of what I want to do with current project, the way I see it is that it's actually a general principle. I think it kind of applies to everything, and not just robotics. Is that you start by sharing useful information. In this case, how I build my robot, and open source it, how the code and mechanical, electrical, how it actually works. I share all this information for free. What I heard is that just go ahead and share as much information as possible for free, and you sell the customization. I think at this stage, especially for people who want to sell information as a business, I think that's usually the way to go. You usually want to build on the audience first, and then eventually get business by providing the customization for higher value customers who want to pay high price for a certain customization for a certain piece of information or certain way to do things. That's how I see the current business can go. In terms of my past experience, I believe it's more of I call it a traditional way to do things. First, you find about what the pain point is. For example, the first business pain point is that small drone companies want to compete with DJI. They don't have good software. They don't want to build a in-house software team. It's expensive to do it. It takes time. They don't even know if they want it or not. In this case, we can provide software service for them, so that could sell for us at the same time that solves their actual problem. So we understand the problem first, and then we try to sell the service to them. Or when we try to build self-driving vehicle for airport, we start with the problem. A lot of airports, they have all these passenger needs, but there's just not enough people to provide this kind of service. And if especially at this stage, young people don't want to do this kind of job, labor shortages, and also people want to freedom themselves. So then it makes sense to have a self-driving vehicle. So that's what I call the more traditional way to think about it. Is start from a problem, and then build a product around it. And the new way I see it is to share the information for free, and then eventually sell the customization. For myself, when I started my current company, I decided that when I get started, I don't want to take any external funding, purely 100% bootstrapping by myself. I made the decision that I want to run the business, making profit from day one, and I don't want to take any external funding. And yeah, that's where I am right now. I'm 2 months in. I think I'm pretty happy with the status. 7x my Twitter follower. That's something that I didn't expect, that it kind of worked out well in many ways. Yeah.
I mean, this was one of the main reasons why I touched base with you again. So last year, you were sharing a little bit every now and then. You were doing it on the side, which you, but the things that you shared in the last recent weeks and months, especially now as the hype is so big, and you really gain momentum. Yeah, I'm very happy for you, and I really enjoy the things that you're sharing. But I'm still not 100% sure regarding and I mean, this is not my business, it's your business, but as I talk to a lot of founders and they ask for guidance or opinions, especially as you said, you would like to keep the price point below €1,000. So this kind of open source projects, because the majority of hardware people need to get on their own, right? So there's mainly no business for you, and but the environment where you can use this kind of product, if it's a hobby project, then there's not too many regulations out of it, right? But if it becomes a commercial project, I am not too deep into that, but let's say you would like to use that kind of robot in an environment here in a home, right? There's a kitchen right next to me, there's a living room right next to me. If you would like to print out a humanoid robot, maybe so it can serve you, right? I had a call with Chris Paxton, who is now working for Hello Robot, where you have the Stretch, which is a very unique kind of robot, which is able to do certain kind of things, right, in a limited way. But coming back to the commercial part, if you would like to, you do need some kind of certificates that it's how do you say this in English? So there is no safety issue if you're using this kind of robot in your environment, right? And the hardware parts to make it very reliable over a long period of time. I mean, 3D can be very reliable and hard as well, but there's as you said, there's so many components in a humanoid robot that need to be taken care of. I really wonder if this can be commercialized, or how is support, how is maintenance, these kind of things, right? If you have an idea about this, that would be interesting.
Yeah, in terms of the commercialization part, I think right now for the $1,000 humanoid, the intention is really not to sell the robot or sell your kit to build it. So maybe if people want it, maybe I can help sourcing the kit and put it together. But that's not really the intention. I think the intention is about to build a platform mostly for myself to be able to actually start doing software for that, and also give it out for free to folks who want to do the same thing. That's the first step. I would imagine that eventually this can be turned into, let's say, a premium version with 10x cost the motor, so that it doesn't break down after working for 20 hours straight or stuff like that. The way I see it is that once you have a basic software and the foundation of your once you have a basic hardware ready and the foundation of your software, you can easily throw that same type of configuration to a more reliable and more expensive piece of hardware that is actually industrial grade, that actually go into places like you mentioned, that to do actual task for the commercialization part.
And so the end user can be small, medium-sized companies and people just like myself.
The way I see it is that mostly want to focus on B2B at this moment. Say you are a business owner, you are a robotics business owner, you want to do this robotics, you want a certain type of solution for your humanoid, and then we can develop that. Or let's say you're just a business owner. You just bought this humanoid off the shelf that is kind of quote unquote general purpose, but you wanted to do some actual work, but you yourself are not from robotics background. I think these are like two kind of business scenarios that I can see that people would need a third party to come in and help solving a certain aspect of the problem or help setting things up to get a robot to do actual work. Because based on my experience, like to operate a robot in real world is really not about put the robot out there and that's it. It's actually 90% of the work is after you getting the robot actually in your customer's hands. That's when the actual work actually started. How you maintain it, how you configure that in the first place. If there's a problem, how you change things, how you change configurations, how you fix things, how do you improve functionality to make it do different work. I see that as actually the heavy lifting part. So yeah. So given that recent hype of the humanoid robot market, that's why I see a huge market that in these two kind of, at least these two kind of business scenarios that where a third party, let's say humanoid expert kind of company can help.
A lot of startups are working in manufacturing space where they would like to enable small and medium-sized business owners to use their products. And here, the majority of them have just one-trick pony, right? And this is not meant as a bad word here. It's just they have one product and they, for example, you are offering a software that enables people to weld, but in an easier way without all the programming involved, right? So, and here is a democratization of using robots, because if you don't have a degree in computer science, you don't need to program writing the code for the robot, right? Universal Robot started this. It's click and drop, where you can write the code in an easy to understand kind of way. So you have a surface with a teach pendant where you can say, okay, the arm needs to move right, the arm needs to move left, and then it needs to pick up, and then there needs to be a loop. But now as you have a humanoid robot and you're writing the software yourself, as far as I understood, and as you said, you're using already existing software and open source project out there. How you think you will be able to combine those things? So using open source hardware to build upon and then have a humanoid robot, plus the construction and the design that you add yourself to make it the way it looks. And then the software part, where already existing part you're using and combining them in a unique way to have a software that is able to control the robot. But how do you think you will put this in a way that that someone who buys the robot or the kit or whatsoever can do this on yourself? Or is this the part where you say, this is where you need me, or this is where you need the company you can buy this, but to be actually able to do something. If you don't have a computer science background, or if you don't have robotics background, then you do need our service as well, where we help you to realize one application or the other.
Yeah, that's a good question. So in terms of the software customization part, I think right now when it comes to actual business, commercial, or any industrial use scenarios, a lot of problems are quote unquote solved. For example, and let's say obstacle avoidance. It's kind of what we call a semi-solved problem that over the past decades we have all this off-the-shelf library you can use or academic paper out there, but in real life it's just it's kind of the opposite. It's never really a solved problem. Even Tesla today is never really getting to a point that is completely solved. Not to mention smaller companies when they try to solve a niche market's problem. When it comes to niche market, different use scenarios very different. For example, a commercial environment is going to be different from an industry environment. That means the way the robot moves is going to be different. Let's say you have obstacle avoidance algorithm out there. same, obviously the same type of algorithm wouldn't be able to use for both, because the requirement is sometimes completely different. In the, let's say in the warehouse, you just want to make sure it's high efficient, they don't crash into each other and stuff like that. That's, you want to maximize that. But let's say in a commercial environment, it's not exactly like that. You have human in the environment. That's kind of your number one priority. Make sure the humans are safe, and make sure the things look good, and needs to be way more, let's say, way smoother than warehouse robot. I think those kind of stuff that actually never really perfectly solve the problem. Even just we're talking about simple obstacle avoidance by a mobile robot. Not to mention humanoid. As I think the humanoid is just I would say it's exponentially harder than let's say a two-wheel drive mobile robot, because it's got way more degrees of freedom. There's way more uncertainty out there. It's way more computation to manipulate things around. And although there are existing things that like I said, an open source library out there that can solve part of the problem, but that's just enough. I would say just enough to get it started, to kind of prove the concept, but to really solve the problem, I think that's where the actual heavy lifting coming in, to really dive into the niche use case and optimize for that use case. Although right now the trendy way to say it is general purpose, but I would say for a long period of time, it's still going to be a special purpose market dominant situation. Even if your hardware is kind of let's say it's general purpose, but when it comes to actual application, there's still a lot of customization to do. For example, you want to use different hand gripper always to almost always, at least in all the industry use cases, you want to always change your end effector to get a certain things to done more effectively, at least at the hardware level. At the software level, there's even more things to do. Like what do you want to maximize? You want to maximize the recognizing over a certain amount of distance, or you want to maximize the capability of the accuracy, or you want to maximize the efficiency. Depending on the purpose, then what do you end up building is going to be very different. And I would say most of the time it's going to be far from let's say what you get in the first open source software get you to.
It's great that you say everyone is speaking about the general purpose robot, but in the very end it will be a specific kind of application, right? And this is something I'm interested as well. Do you have an idea? As I was working for a robotic software company, and we had a product that we were marketing in terms of everybody can do everything with it, but the problem, especially that sales has, the majority of customers don't have any imagination, right? It sounds great because you are getting the entire market, right? You're not getting I can do welding, I can do insertion, I can do gluing, or I can do whatever. I can do everything. But the thing is that majority of manufacturing customers are very used to one specific type of machine, right? I mean, you have a CNC machine, and yeah, you can do different things, you can build different things with it. But the majority of machines are very special, and you can do only a certain task with it, just one or two tasks with it, right? So if you have a general purpose humanoid, you are again saying that there's a huge market because it can do a lot of things, but in reality, we'll focus on a few things in the very early stages. So because then it's easier to marketing as well, because you can say my robot can do this, and this is what it can do, right? And then you build upon it. Do you have a certain idea what kind of use case you will start on?
Yeah, exactly. It's a very good point that when it comes to build a product, you want to really laser focus on one thing to at least to start with, and then slowly expand. The way I see humanoid is that although people talk about general purpose and all that, and it comes all sorts of humanoid comes with all sorts of different shapes and size and functionality or behavior or whatever. But I think eventually they would sort of converge in let's say an optimal solution that everyone's just going to do that, like an iPhone. Pretty much right now, every phone looks like an iPhone. I believe same goes to the humanoid. Eventually, everything's just gonna converge, at least on the hardware side. And what that means is that for humanoid, the way I see how it converge is that it converges into one set of camera plus 2 arms, because that's like the fundamental of the humanoid. I think for the leg part, we can debate a little bit. I'm personally passionate about legs, but really to get the work done, we're talking about the arms. So in terms of my starting point, I wanna have 2 arms and 1 camera, able to grab object and move object around. Keep it as simple as that. That's a 3D printer box. You can grab that box and put it a designated place. That's it. That's the whole purpose. And just by doing that, you can unlock a lot of applications. For example, to sort things, to put things away, to pick up a thing, to put it to somewhere else. It may sound not super useful, but I think that's kind of the fundamental thing when people talking about general purpose. Is really about having 2 arms and 1 pair of eyes, and use that to pick things and put somewhere else, or do something about that thing, depending on what your end effector look like. If you're a gripper, you cannot do much about it, but you have a pair of dexterous hands, then you can do more fine movement with it. But I think at an early stage, I think a big part of the value wouldn't come from any really dexterous manipulation. It would come from what I call simple manipulation, which is really just having 1 finger to grasp a thing and put it somewhere else. It started as simple as that. Even then, it's actually a lot of unsolved problems out there. And the other day I was watching a video about how Amazon, let's say, use their robotic arm to pick things from the shelf. Even then, there's tons of problems that is not solved. It's not, even if you just have 1 finger just to pick things up, it's not a solved problem.
The things that, and here maybe I'm working together too long with German engineering customers, but because I would like, when I'm always customer focused, right? So I'm always fighting against, and yesterday I had a conversation with someone from engineering, so that I mean, for sure I'm working with our company, but I do need to be the customer's lawyer, advocate, because their voices need to be heard inside. So the product knows about it, the engineering knows about it, and take care of this when they develop the product, when they maintain and service the product, that the customer at the very end, even if you're a VC-funded company, right, because you're bootstrapping, you do need to serve them in a certain way, because they're paying everything that is around you, right? And here, here a few questions are popping up when you're talking about these kind of things. So in a professional way, right? So I was working for Microchip Industries, and one of the things that the software was able to do is closing the last mile. So you have a robot already that is doing that, right? There is no need for a humanoid, like all this complicated stuff, right? It's actually this thing. Keep it simple. So it just a robot arm that is doing the picking stuff. That is, the rest of the humanoid is not necessary. So it's just the arm. But even if you do picking, right, you do need to recognize the object. You do need, even in different circumstances. So what is the orientation of the object if it's different? What if the color of the object is different? What if the light changes, right? Because then the vision system has a different object in front of it, because now the colors are slightly different. What if the object changes, right? These kind of things are very interesting. And as you said, there's a lot of problems that are not solved already. So even if you pick and place, what about how exact does the placing needs to be? How exactly needs to be the grabbing? And here I'm very keen to see. So this is where my skepticism jumps in, right? These are the questions that a professional manufacturer will have in the first meeting. And so even if you would like to show what it was be able to do, they have seen so many things, and especially if in these kind of industries people are working at the same job for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, so they have seen a lot of things. And here I really would like to understand how you guys with not so much. I mean, you're working for a company. You're not that young. You're not fresh out of university and just have your product in mind. Yeah, maybe you can tell us a little bit about here, if you have seen this, or if you're gonna say, I will take care of this one step at a time.
Yeah, my suggestion would always be try to keep things simple. I think this applies to how you build your hardware to start with, and this also applies to how you set up your software in a way that is simple and maintainable. And when it comes to solving problem, it's also about simplifying the problem. A lot of times, let's say 90% of part of the problem that you either don't really need to solve, or you can turn it into something simpler and easy to solve, to simplify things. And to build a functioning robot is not about making it complicated. It's always about actually making it simpler and functioning at the same time, and not overthink things. I think a lot of learning actually comes from the iterating process. You'd almost never get it right in the beginning. I would say this kind of applies to general software development as well. There's a term that is what do they call it? You don't want to optimize your code too early, or something like that. Same goes to build a robot. You don't want to optimize your robot too early, adding a whole bunch of not useful electrical parts or sensors in it, and keep the system so bulky and not maintainable. That's a disaster. If you go with the opposite route, keep things simple and boring, and learn and iterate through the way, then that's what I call the easy way to do it. Although it's still hard work, but it's compared to building a complicated system, and then you have to remove everything and do it again. It's definitely way easier.
The company building part, I think you are in the great position that today with social media, you have the opportunity, you said this already, building an audience while you're building a product. And so this is an advantage, right? If you're playing this game right, you have such a huge advantage versus founders in the past that they're building a product and then they need to get the product out, right? So I see this over and over again. It's a recurring topic here in the podcast as well. So people have experience, they're very good engineers, but they don't know how to do marketing, and they don't know how to do sales and support and these kind of things, right? But as I'm in that kind of business, as I'm not a builder, this is what I'm taking care of. And here, so if you're building a company and you have a very good product, having the idea that the product is so good it will sell itself, right? And then you're hitting reality only to find out nobody knows about your product, right? So you do need traffic, you do need eyes on your product. You have the advantage that you are building now in public and that you have eyes on your product already, right? So when you hit a certain stage in the future, I think you're now at 7K or something. And
yeah,
and this happened in the last 3 or 4 months, right? So there was
few months, 7x followers.
Yeah, this is so great, and it shows that there is a lot of people interested out there, right? The question comes still up that is it the right audience? Do I have potential customers within that audience, right? And even if that, what do you think about? You said you were bootstrapping your company. You have kind of a pool of how do you say this? Now you have a pool where you can recruit from if you want to, right? And right now it's a one-man show, but I'm interested in what will be the next step. Will there be a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 men show or women show? And how do you have you thought about that?
On that, yeah, I think communication, publicity, as you said, definitely super vital. If anything, it's somewhat, in my opinion, probably more vital or important than engineering itself. Engineering is cool, but communication, publicity, and all that is super vital. I value that a lot. I've already personally getting lots of value that I didn't even expect since I started. I just hear other people saying that you should get it out there, and good things is gonna happen. I don't really believe that, and I think it's kind of luck or whatever. But it really happened, and I'm already started getting value out of it. For example, I make one design. There's one guy saying, "No, you should do this in that way, or connect that piece this way. It's gonna be better, or you should try to look in this software." A lot of time I already know the stuff, or but sometimes, occasionally, from time to time, you get huge value out of that, or you get people like talking to you, like you get new business opportunities, you get people who want to work with you. Yeah, lots of people want to work with me at the moment. That's something that I really appreciate that, and also not something I really expect in the beginning. In the beginning is kind of just, as I said, just put things out there and see what happens. And right now the status is that it's not like a huge audience. It's like 7K audience. It's like it's not a meeting or anything, but I think already, as I said, is already definitely getting huge value out of that, just by learning from feedbacks, learning other people's idea, learning what they want to do, what they want to work on, what they can help me with, or what I can offer help to them. I think my general principle is to, if time permit, I want to give as much help for free as possible. Given time permit, I'm like obviously running a huge tight schedule here, trying to build all the software hardware myself. But anytime I have that, I want to help as much people as possible. And then you're in return, I think that's it's a good comment there. I didn't expect that, but I already get a lot of value out of that. And I think so far I like the experience. And I'm two months in. Maybe we can talk again 12 months later and see how things going.
You kept it very vague, right? I don't know if that was intentionally, but yeah, the question if you would like to expand the team and if you would like to recruit.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to get on that. Yeah, I think it's possible. It's definitely possible. As I said, I'm not really raising money or anything now. Like keeping the budget extremely low here. I pay my food, pay for my motors. That's all my spending. I'm not spending on anything else. Yeah. But if there's any, like, if the business is growing, let's say the demand is growing, the customer base is growing, I think if timing is right, I'll start recruiting. I think in the past I managed teams of 10, 20 people, engineers, in my previous positions. I think I like doing that kind of stuff, but right now at the moment I just want to build myself, like spending instead of like 50% management, 50% engineering. I want like 90% engineering, 10% everything else for a while. Eventually, if the business grows, maybe I want to change my mind. Maybe I will not. I will see. But yeah, to answer your question, if the business grows, I'll definitely consider start recruiting. But in the current moment, at least, I guess until the end of my first project, I'll keep it just myself for now. It's also just kind of I would say part of it is a bit of practice. Another part of it is that I just want to see if I can do it or not. I want to see if I can pull this off or not. If I cannot, if I failed in some way, that's fine. If it works out, that's great. It doesn't mean that I always want to keep it this way, but it's just that I'm personally curious as well, because it's challenging. It's a lot of uncertainties in terms of both the business wise and the technical wise. A lot of uncertainties. I have some level of confidence, but I'm not 100% sure that since it's going to work exactly the way I want.
I really like the enthusiasm and ambition. The question was, or is, do you, when you say you would like to see if you can do it or not, are we only now talking about the technical aspect of it, or are we talking about the commercial aspect as well?
Right now, both, I would say. I think sometimes I do want to, spend some time to have meetings, spend some time talk to people, setting up website, go through all the tax and stuff like that. That's things that I don't really want to do. But those are things that are important for the business. I have to do that. Maybe those kind of stuff I may start outsourcing soon, like accounting and stuff like that. I can do basic stuff myself, but when things getting complicated, those definitely the first part that I would outsource, getting someone to help with.
Yeah, as you said, let's see how where we are in 6 months and 12 months. And you are, yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why you are building in public, as you said, there's a lot of value you get out of it, because you're exchanging, you do best practice sharing. So with other builders, as you said, there is a huge value in hardware and software, people giving tips, and you exchange here. But yeah, I'm very interested in the commercial part of it. Not because this is the most important thing, but it fuels and can help you to do the things you would like to do, right? So you would like to spend your time on building a humanoid robot, and in order to do that, you do need to sell. You said that you would like to be make money from the very early moments on, so the way of thinking that, I think it's the right way to do it, because it actually gives you the feedback. So if you're trying to apply that, it gives you the feedback if there's a need. Do I have product market fit? Do I really understand the needs of a customer? Is my product in a way that it adds value? It doesn't matter how buzzwordy that sounds, but I'm interested in do you have some sort of success here already? Do you have some sort of feedback here already?
Yeah, currently we have, I mean, I have one partner to work with. There are different groups on work with, but right now, really just myself, I cannot really work with every party at the moment. So I have one sort of partnership going on at the moment to like to support myself. Maybe slowly I can take more if I would expand my team. Again, back to the point that depending on how the business goes, may just keep myself or to start expand the team, depending on demands and on the commercialization part. Try to give as much information as free as possible. Eventually, come when there's any customization people needed or extra high value adding services, would commercialize from that. From the open source perspective, we not intend to really sell you a robot and make a profit out of that. That's really not the intention. Although, as I said, if people really want it, I can help put up a kit so you can where to buy things from to build this open source project. But I think that's just the starting point. That's not something that's not something that is the main commercialization part.
I'm very happy that you took the time to talk to me, and I'm very happy that I see the success that you're working on, the things that you're working on. I do have to say that I'm very curious on how it will turn out. So I will keep my eyes open, not only about the progress that you're doing on the technical aspects, as this is beyond my knowledge and beyond my capacity and skills. So I really enjoy the things that you do, but not everything is within my knowledge, as I said. But I'm waiting for the day where I can join waitlist. I'm waiting for the day where will be a landing page and a separate Twitter account to the project. And let's see. I mean, the hype is very early on, and as a business owner, it's not a sprint, right? It's always a marathon. So, and we are in the very early beginning of a marathon, and maybe we can have another talk in 1 year and see where you stand.
Yeah, totally. I already bought the domain name of my new landing page and procrastinating and not setting up the page properly yet, but I do have the logo done by my girlfriend. Yeah, that's something I'm gonna put on my landing page soon. I don't know, in a week or something like that. I should have done that last week, but I always procrastinate on things that is not making it real by itself.
No, it's funny because the majority of founders do these kind of steps first thing, right? Instead of working on the product and solving problems, buying the domain seems to be the very first thing to do, and getting the logo. You are so far in the project already. You are actually late with these kind of things when it comes to the majority of people. Thanks for taking the time. I'm very happy that to see that so many people are working on open source humanoid. Let's see how this will turn out. But I'm happy that we will not only have commercialized humanoids and getting the Terminator Judgment 2 situation, hopefully.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. It's very good to chat with you.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.